I have an interesting one for you today. I'm probably not going to be too long. What's up? What's down? What's around? What's new in town? Let's turn that frown upside down. um, I don't even know if I can smile right now because this one is a bit dark. There's something I've been thinking about lately. I can't say. I don't even know if you can say the word. You know. Well, basically, I want to talk about adults that like children. Okay. I can't. I don't know if I can say that actual word, but I just want to, because I had to record it because I started again and I actually said the word and I was like, I don't know if I can say that. But anyways, um, I want to know like what is wrong with those people's brains? Like, no. I'm not saying that to be like whatever, but I'm like just think about this for a second. Every I'm gonna say P99, okay? P99 for the code, okay? Because I don't know if I can say that word. But every P99, they were a child at some point. So I'm trying to figure out if they were a child at some point, and then they grew up, what happened to their attraction? Because when you're a kid, you're attracted to kids, and sometimes you may be attracted to one of your teachers, and they're an adult. But what I'm trying to figure out is obviously it's a mental disorder. I would think or say, but I'm trying to figure out what causes this mental disorder. Like, what exactly causes a P99 to an adult to like children? I mean, I'm really thinking about this because it's like the reason why I started thinking about this more than I normally don't think about this, but there was a case of a kid. He was like 15, 16 years old, and no, I'm sorry, he was 17. Yeah, he was 17 years old, and he was messaging like girls that were like 13 and 14, and I guess what he was saying was pretty explicit. So I think they gave him like prison time or something. Like they waited for him to turn 18 and then they put him in prison. I was like, that's like, okay, I get it. But technically he was still a minor because 17 isn't an adult. 18 is an adult. So I'm trying to figure out, why didn't you get him some help? And the people, now, hear me out. 'Cause I know there's a lot of people talking. What do you mean? He's a creep. He's a nasty person. Hold on, I got you. But I can understand if he was like 50 years old talking to the children. Like, you live most of your life, and I'm like, bro, what? Like, what are you doing? But he was like a kid. Like, he was okay. Anybody that's under 25, I consider him a kid. You know, I know that may sound silly, but I'm about to turn 35, so it's like, if you under, okay, all right, that's not quite. I'd say, okay, if you're under 20, I consider you a kid. Even though you're grown, but you're still a kid because you're gonna do some dumb stuff still all the way until you get to like maybe 29, 27, 27, 29. You're gonna say, okay, I gotta start slowing down. I'm gonna get myself beat up if I keep messing around. But anyways, um, like, I don't know. It just, to me, I just don't understand. Like, why didn't they just get him some help? Obviously, he has a mental problem. Why don't you just get him some help? And people, I said that pretty much. I said a comment to the extent of that. It was on a video, and everybody was, if it was your daughter, what would you do? Blah, blah, blah. You had a 13-year-old daughter talking to a 7-year-old. He was talking dirty. What would you do? I said I would sit the boy down and be like, why? Why are you doing this? No, you wouldn't do that. You would. No, 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 no. I would sit him down and be like, look, like, do you need to talk? Like, you have trouble getting a girlfriend? Like why are you talking to a 13-year-old? Like, I don't understand. Like, what, do you have problems getting a woman? Like, let me know. Talk to me, you know? Now, if he was like a 30 or 40-year-old talking to a 13-year-old, I mean, he probably get punched in the face a couple times and then dragged out back and then beat up a little bit. I'm just joking. That's violence. I'm not trying to do all that. I mean, if he was actively touching her, I would punch him in the face, like, no doubt. Wouldn't he hesitate? Yeah, just take me to jail later. I wouldn't care. I'd sock him as hard as I can. I don't care if he's 9'20". He would be 2 foot nothing when I'm done. I'm just joking. No, I'm kidding. 9'20". That's funny. You can't even. That's not even like fathomable. That's crazy. But anyways, tallest man was 8'11". But anyways, I'm getting out of topic. I think it was like Edward Wardlow. I think his name was. I can't remember. He had like a size something shoe. Anyways, okay, stop it. Get back on topic. So, I mean, I don't understand. I can't figure out why they didn't give old boy like some therapy or something. I should have gave old boy some therapy because that wasn't right. In my opinion. Because of his age. But I know people will disagree. I'll nearly like 99% of people will disagree with me because they're like, oh, he don't know what he's doing. So I'm like, I got you, bro. But it made me think about it because, I mean, think about this. Like my parents, right? My mom was 18 and my dad was 17 when they got married. So my dad was still a minor, but my mom was technically grown when they got married. Nobody thought nothing of it. I mean, they had to get married in North Carolina at the time because it wasn't legal. You couldn't marry a minor like back then. Like, well, you probably can't do that now. I don't know. But anyway, they had to have written consent. And in the state, they couldn't do it. So they had to go to North Carolina, which at the time, it was legal in North Carolina to marry someone under 18 if he was 18 or whatever. Like, I don't know, it had some kind of law. I don't even know if it's still true now. But anyways, that's what it was. They had to go all the way to North Carolina to do that. So yeah, whatever. It's a long way to get married. But anyways, I digress. It would depend on where you live. But anyways, I digress. It's like sorry. There are cases where women are older than the man and they tend to get married or have a relationship and there's nothing there. Like the woman may be older than the guy and there's usually nothing there. But if it's the other way around, it's usually the guy's creep, he's this, he's that, he's the worst thing since the flu or the coronavirus or something. And I just don't understand, like, why don't they try to find help for these people? Why do they not pull back the skull, not literally, pull back the skull metaphorically and dig into their brain and figure out what is the problem? They never do that. They don't ask questions. They just throw them in the slammer, throw them in the slammer, throw them in the slammer. Well, that's a good thing. I don't disagree with putting them in jail, but the problem is what's causing it. I mean, if you can find a way to stop it from happening, don't you think that's better than just constantly just rounding them up and throwing them into prison? I mean, me personally, being a logical thinker, finding out what's causing it, trying to find a cure for it would be ideal. But they don't want to find a cure. They just want to throw them away in prison. I'm like, I got you, but you may have a guy or a woman that's been fighting these urges ever since they were, I don't know. And they don't act on these urges, but they have these urges. They're going to be petrified to tell anybody about these urges because if they tell anybody, they could go to prison just for liking a child, And people say, well, they should. I said, I understand that, but I'm also looking at it from a logical perspective. I'm not looking at it from an emotional perspective. I'm looking at it mostly logical because, I mean, if there is a problem and it's reoccurring, if you don't fix the problem, it's not going to go away. And that's what they're doing. They're just throwing people in prison saying, oh, it's going to go away eventually. I'm like, it's not going to go away like that. That's not going to cure the problem. You have to find out the source of the problem to cure the problem. That's the only way. Only way it's going to work. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm just making this video short because I mean it's only so much you can talk about, and talking about topics like this is gonna raise a lot of red flags and a lot of whatever, you know. Excuse me. But what are your thoughts on that? I think I'm gonna just kind of end this video here because, like I said, this is a very disgusting topic, and I don't even want to go too far into it because I mean there's a lot I want to talk about, but you know YouTube's censorship and you know such a touch. It's extremely sensitive. This is a very extremely sensitive topic, and there's only so much you can say without actually getting in trouble. You know. But honestly, I think that there should be some type of incentive put in place to try to help these people. You know, because like I said from the beginning, what happens in their mind? Like I said, every P99 as the code for the code I'm using, because I don't know if I can say the P word, you know. So an adult that loves children, but pretty much, like, what changed in their mind? Like, they were a child at some point, and they liked children, obviously, as a child, but as an adult, what changed? Like, is there like a switch in their brain that never went to the adult side? Like, I mean, just think about it. People are born with birth defects that are not always outwardly physical. You know, they could be a mental birth defect. Did they never grow up in that part of their mind? Did their puberty not develop correctly? I mean, people that have speech problems, that's a mental disorder. I mean, not a severe mental disorder, it's a slight, there's a slight trick in the brain. Like when you're born and you can't form words properly, you know. I'm not saying that person needs to be put in prison or they need to be ousted or rejected, but it's just something that they can work on. It's just somewhat of a small defect, you know. Like, I don't want to say speech impediment is a mental disorder, but it's like a small defect. There's like maybe a tiny little defect in the brain, but it's not something that should be, you know, rejected. But like I said, like they should treat it as a mental disorder. Like, well, you know, the whole P99 thing is a mental disorder or a disruption of the normal affection of people. And I think that they should do extensive research and try to figure this out instead of just saying, oh, we're just going to hang them or burn them or electrocute them and just get rid of them. I'm like I said, that sounds excellent, but on paper on paper that sounds great, but I mean, it's just like, I don't understand why you can't actually seek and try to find out what the actual problem is, you know, with these people. You know, I don't understand why they can't do that. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm just not smart. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, I'm just going to make this video short. And with that, let me know in the comments how you think, how you feel. You love it, hate it, whatever. Just let me know. Anyway, with that, peace out. Deuces.